to the Everything Went Black podcast. This time around, I've got my good friends Sera Timms and J Bennet of the band's Ides of Gemini. Their brand new record came out last week, and check it out. We're going to talk about that record, as well as a bunch of other really cool stuff. Before we get going on that, I just want to talk about fundraising and the new Everything Went Black Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, you can check it out. It's at patreon.com/Everything Went Black podcast. Or you can just go to the Everything Went Black Media website, and it's at there's a button where it says, if you want to support the podcast, donate here. It's also pins at the top of the Facebook page, and it's a way for, if you're not familiar with what Patreon is, it's a way for creators to fund their efforts. And my goal at least, is to, pay for the expenses that incur while I'm doing this, bandwidth, website maintenance. And also I want to kind of upgrade everything. I want to move this into the next phase of its existence. I'd like to turn this into a full-blown media site. There's a bunch of levels to it. You can put in $1, $3, $5. If you check out the Patreon, you'll see what the rewards are at each level. And you can do it for a month, 2 months, indefinitely. It's up to you. And it's cool. I mean, either way, I'm going to continue doing this. It's not like a make or break thing, but I'm just, just trying to keep things moving forward, trying to keep the lights on here and all that sort of stuff. Speaking of keeping the lights on, I'd like to talk about our affiliate sponsors. On it, if you're a lover of fitness like me, you can check out the On It kettlebells. And if you're into living a keto lifestyle, there's On It MCT oil. There's banners on the site. All you got to do is click through the banners, and it will take you to the On It webpage, and you can order accordingly. Also, I'm a big fan of hemp products. Hemp. The man has been keeping us away from hemp for way too long, and I support the whole hemp movement. That's why Datsu Sara is an important company. Everything they do is made out of hemp. They have gear bags. I use one. I have several, actually. Several of their products. I have a fanny pack. I got this gigantic black gear bag. It looks cool. It's got this tactical vibe. It looks like if you have this bag, it looks like you mean business. And it's real useful. So check out Datsu Sara. There's a link, or actually a portal. You click through that, takes you to the site. Buy something. I get a little kickback. It's all good. So if you another way to help out is by leaving reviews on iTunes. Give star rating, write a review, that sort of stuff. But you know what? The biggest way you can help out is spread the word. Tell your friends. Always into getting more listeners. And here we go with the episode. There's been a lot of changes, it seems like, in the lineup of the band. Sera, you're singing now only. You're not playing bass.
Yeah.
You got a different drummer. So how did all that happen?
So we were on tour with the Mountain Goats in, when was that, 2015?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 2015.
Yeah.
It was around this time, actually, April, right? Like late April, early May, or something like that. It was around this time 2 years ago. We were on tour with the Mountain Goats, and Kelly got injured. We were playing in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, so it was like a hometown show for John Danielle on the Mountain Goats. Kelly got injured. She'd actually been, I think she'd been kind of toughing it out for a few days. I know she had. She'd been toughing it out and kind of like trying to compensate for the injury, and kind of like, she had like a back injury at first, but then I think the way she compensated for it, she ended up injuring her hip, which kind of ended up being the more permanent problem in the long run. So we already had we had to cancel the rest of that tour, which was a soul crushing moment.
Like her kick drum leg just stopped working at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And we could hear her. She never messes up, but we could hear her messing up. We're like, what is going on? Yeah, so that was where the changes started.
Yeah, it was the last song of our set, and she was like started making mistakes, and she never makes mistakes. So like we both knew something was up, and it turns out it ended up being like pretty bad. So we had two more things set up. One was like a couple shows with Oxbow, and then like a festival in Salt Lake City, and she couldn't. That was happening like pretty soon after. So we got Sash, who played with Sera in Black Math Horseman and now plays with me in Mustard Gas and Roses. He filled in for those. It was like 4 shows. But Sash can't do, like, he's got 2 kids. He can't do like a lot of touring. So then we have this other West Coast tour set up. And we asked Scott Batiste from Saviors to fill in. And he did, and it went really well. Got along great. He's a great player, like learns really quick, like just awesome guy to have on tour. And at some point after that, like, and then we were kind of here to limbo for maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. It was a long time. We kind of didn't know. We weren't doing anything. We didn't know what was going on. And then
we were waiting to see if Kelly would get better.
Right. Yeah, we were waiting. Yeah, basically waiting to see what was going to happen with Kelly, because by that point Scott had to do some Savior stuff, I think. Maybe.
Right.
So finally Kelly called and kind of like just ended up bowing out. Just said, "Look, I can't do it anymore. I can't play." And plus, she had moved, like, adding to the complications. Just prior to that Mountain Goats tour, she had moved like 3 hours away to Idlewild. So we were kind of wondering how it was going to work going forward, anyways. Sorry, I'm dragging this out.
Hey man, it's a free format, sort of open kind of format we got here, so it's fun. You can ramble as much as you want.
So anyway, so she bowed out, and then we basically we talked to Scott. We said, "Look, man, the gig is yours if you want it," and thankfully he said yes. And then also during this whole period of like a year where this is all happening, Sera had kind of been talking about wanting to quit playing bass, which I was trying to vehemently talk her out of, because, you know, it's just common sense. It's just easier to have 3 people in a band than 4 people. I mean, everything's easier. Traveling, practicing, just everything. And so, but finally, she wore me down eventually. And so we started thinking about who we were going to get, and
I was able to wear him down with like my own logistical sense making, which was that we'd gotten Scott to replace Kelly, and they're really, really different drummers. I mean, Kelly is amazing creatively, and she's like very minimalist, tasteful drummer, which really matched how I like to play bass, which is also pretty minimal, so I can focus on singing more. Yeah. And then we had Scott, who's just like a really serious powerhouse of a drummer. And we started writing with him when it was just going to be the 3 of us writing the album. And I was like, it feels to me like it demands like a hardcore rhythm section, like a really good bass player who's dedicated to bass. And so I was like, you know, explaining to Jay that I will write bass lines to get through this album, but I really want to focus on singing. And I think if we have a bass player that's dedicated to it, that we're just going to have a much stronger album and stronger band. You know, somebody that's like super into just writing cool bass lines.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I actually had was, you know, now that you're not sort of shackled to playing an instrument, what's the sense of freedom like now that you're just, you know, you don't have to worry about playing bass, you can just focus on vocals and, you know, sort of having more stage presence. Like how's that transition been?
It is phenomenal. It's amazing. I mean, honestly, I never really wanted to play bass in a band. It just, when I started Black Math Horseman, or the band before Black Math Horseman, actually, there was no bass player, and I was like, well, gee, you know, I play a little bit of guitar. I can play the bass a little bit easier probably than getting a bass player. And so I just started playing bass and singing. Also, definitely, I think when I started playing music, it was heavy music, and I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I had something to prove. You know, I felt like I wanted to be like the dudes. I didn't want to be that like diva chick singer, you know?
Yeah.
And I realized over the years that was something that was it turned into something that was very ego driven. You know, it wasn't authentic anymore. And I felt like I was kind of hiding behind it, and I felt like what I authentically wanted to do was just be able to sing, and you know, accept that. To me, that's like a much more vulnerable position than playing an instrument and singing.
Yeah,
especially
totally.
in the heavy music world. But I felt like that was just something that I authentically wanted to do and needed to move into. And immediately when I started just singing, I was like, you know, it was like an angel choir in my head. I was like, whoa, like, what is this? This is so much fun just to be able to move around and sing. And I love moving, too. I just like moving around the stage. It's like a lot more fun to me.
Oh yeah. So, did you write any of the bass lines for the new record, or was it weren't involved at all in the writing of that bass?
I was not involved at all.
Okay.
I handed it over to Adam, and Adam plays bass really differently than me.
Yeah, definitely.
And so yeah, I didn't write. I totally let that go.
Yeah. And I should mention about the Adam part. So we were kind of talking about like what we're gonna do for bass players, and so Adam plays in a band here with some friends of ours called Death Crux, like Death, like Megadeth with no A, you know?
Okay.
It's 2 words, Death and Crux. And not it doesn't matter because you're not right. I always think of everything in terms of like a print interview, so I don't need to spell it for you, do I?
Yeah, but if some kid's out there and he's really interested, he might find the wrong band. So you're doing him a favor by you know, you're doing the listeners a favor by spelling it out, you know.
All right. Well, there you go, listeners.
There could be a Death Crux.
Check out Death Crux. You'll thank me.
Yeah, there could be a Death Crux from Hohokus, New Jersey. That's like terrible, you know. So
yeah. So anyway, we were we were at a Death Crux show like at one point, like while this conversation was going on, and we were kind of both looking at each other and were like, I think that might be the guy, and we already knew him.
We didn't know he could play bass though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we didn't know he could play bass. But so then we had a New Year's party here at the house, New Year's Eve of 2015, and he came over for that, and we just we popped the question, and that was it. We got him, and now and it's awesome. I mean, this whole thing has been as difficult as it was to get here. It's been so worth it. I feel like the band is better than ever, and that's not to disparage Kelly's drumming or Sera's bass playing at all. I just think this is the direction that the band went in, and I'm glad that it did. You know, I think we're better for it.
Yeah, I mean, because even like playing the older material, like I haven't seen you guys play live with this lineup, so it's like, but I imagine in the live setting with the new lineup playing the older songs, they must feel like completely different, you know, arrangements and different pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels a lot. It's definitely a lot heavier. Scott's like a heavy hitter, but he's very. I should add that like Scott is very. I mean, he plays those songs like Kelly played them, and he's very good about like sort of honoring her style. And even the way he wrote for this new record was definitely like a halfway point between his own natural style and her style. Like it's more tom heavy. He laid off the cymbals. It's definitely not. I mean, anyone who hears it, it's not like the way he plays in Saviors, you know.
What's kind of cool is like, you know, me being a listener. I remember when you sent me the demos of it was just you guys and a drum machine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were one of our first supporters. Yeah. That was awesome.
I remember like you sent me this, and I brought it with me down to Texas when we were recording Path of Totality, and it was when everyone else had left, and I was just staying at Congleton's apartment or his house. It was like the last like week of the recording, and I was just there by myself, and I was like, let me listen to this fucking CDR that Jay sent me. And, no, this isn't half bad, man. No, honestly, no, it was. I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. Because I mean, it's in line with a lot of the stuff I listen to on my own, anyhow. So, and then now it's then it's sort of turned into this whole other beast now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's definitely fully transformed.
You're also on a new record label with this newest record too. You guys are on it's on Rise Above, this new album, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Lee. Well, I guess there's kind of two parts to it. Lee kind of approached us a while ago. He was kind of asking about us, like what was going on, and then nothing happened for a while, and then that might have even been before Old World New Wave. Is that right or no? I can't remember. But he had been asking about us, and then we talked to him. He came out here for Scott Carlson's wedding. And all three of us were at that when it was Kelly, Sarah, and I. And he was kind of asking, like, what's up with Neurot, like that kind of thing. But then we talked to him, but we didn't hear anything for a long time. And so Scott Carlson, who your listeners might know from Repulsion and Cathedral also, and Death Breath, he's kind of doing A&R now for Rise Above.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he put Lee in touch with that band Beastmaker from Fresno. And then he kind of started whispering in Lee's ear about us, which Lee, I think, I got the impression that Lee was already thinking about us, maybe. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but anyway, in any event, it resulted in they made us an offer we couldn't refuse, as they say, and we couldn't be happier. I mean, we just picked up our records the other day. They FedExed them, and they look gorgeous. They did a really great job, and Lee's been super supportive with all his effort and his resources, and we're just really appreciative that he has so much faith in us as a band. It's very flattering, obviously. So we're very happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys have you put out a couple records, and it's not like you're a new band, and there's a lot. You have like a proven sort of track record and an imprint and fans and stuff. So to me, it wouldn't seem like such a gamble to put out a record by you guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think I would have to assume that's the way he saw it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy. We're just happy to be here, man.
Yeah, totally. So it's interesting because like I oftentimes every now and then I like to disappear down the YouTube rabbit hole, and I like to watch videos and rock videos, and it seems like you guys have some really cool videos that are out there. And Sarah, do you produce these videos? Because I know that you work in that field.
I directed and I guess produced as well. The most recent one we did.
Yeah, that's the one I think I saw.
Yeah, for Heroine's Descent.
Yes, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I did that one, and I'm very happy with it. I think it turned out pretty well. And before that, we were getting a friend of ours to do it with my direction, but there was no budget, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I really didn't want to be the director without any sort of budget.
Yeah.
But we finally got a budget for this video for Heroine's Descent, and so I'm really pretty happy with it.
Now that's a field that you work in, right? You work in video, if I'm not mistaken.
Reluctantly. I've been trying not to do it for a while, so now I just take it. Generally, I don't think I've taken a job strictly for money in almost a year. I think now I just really do video for friends that I love and creative projects that I'm into. Not so much for my means of making a living.
So do you edit and shoot, or one or both?
I don't so much. I don't shoot really anymore. I've found that I much prefer working with DPs, and I have a really amazing DP named Brian Sowell, who's also a musician down here that I've worked with on a couple of videos now.
He plays in Death Crux too.
Oh yeah, he's in Death Crux and Buried at Sea.
Buried at Sea, I know those guys.
And what?
No, I Buried at Sea. I'm definitely familiar with them as well. Definitely.
Oh yeah, totally. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been the director of photography on the last two videos that I've done, and he's amazing. And then I've edited them as well as directed them.
Now, the actual concept of the video and the storyboard, and how involved are you? Is that like basically you come up with a concept and then these other people sort of execute it?
I come up with a concept and I pretty much execute it as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm learning to work with helpers. It's hard to work with helpers when you have such a low budget, and I've used a lot of free help, but I try not to, call in too much free help because, you don't want to pull all your favors. You don't want to wear your friends out, Yeah. So at this point, actually in the last video, I was able to use more help than I've ever, help building things, for instance. I had a lot of help building things on the last one. And I had other people. I did have some help. But basically, I'm really hands-on with everything. I'm prop making, I'm doing everything, usually.
Yeah, Scott Batiste, he actually, there's a scene in the new video where we're hauling a coffin around.
Yeah.
He actually did that coffin. It's a full-size coffin that he can fit in, and he's like my height, like 6'5". So it's like it's actually sitting in the front yard right now. He built that for that, and we got some free help. Here's a fun fact.
Huh?
The makeup person on the video, her name is Christina Waltz. She works on a lot of films and TV, but she is Pee Wee Herman's makeup artist.
Wow.
So, yeah. So there you go. We had that's a cool little bonus, and she did a great job with the makeup.
She did. We trade cat sitting though.
Yeah. Yes.
We're cat sitting. We cat sitting for makeup. Video.
So it's in the sort of barter system.
I love the barter system.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I can trade like a couple of chickens and a goat, maybe, and
yeah, absolutely.
You get some video work done as a result of that. You can feed yourself from a goat, for like almost a year probably.
Absolutely.
A lot of meat.
Me up.
Now, the imagery in the video, it seems like there's, does it tie in with the lyrics, or like, is there a storyline? Because it seems like there is.
Well, I mean, the overall theme of the lyrics is going through a death transformational process. It's symbolic death. Is what I was singing about. But I think it can also be applied to real death as far as my views go. But that's basically that you go through many death experiences in your life when you learn that parts of you have become stagnant. There's a lot of things in your external life that are no longer serving you. You have these sort of existential crises where you find yourself looking in the mirror, like in the beginning, and you're like, how did I get here? And then you try and maybe search for more fulfillment in that thing that you're in the sort of space that you're living in that's stagnant, and you just don't find it. And then you find out you just have to die in order to go through that transformation process. You have to let go of everything. And once you do let go of everything, you find an opening, you find something else. And that was like the diamond thing, the diamond process at the end was like where that sort of transference of energy happens, and it's that pressure and strife and underworld journey that, with the cliche, that it creates diamonds,
Oh, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's when I watched the video, I had a lot of different ideas like going in and out of my brain about that, kind of similarly with, the sort of ego death and, this whole other conceptual thing that I actually was working with myself. As far as like, lately I've been really into like the sort of Hindu idea of the universe being destroyed to open up a way for like the new kind of like a new beginning in a sense, you know what I mean? So whenever I see another piece of art or something that has to do with destruction and reforming or transformation, like that kind of stuff really grabs my attention, and that's why I think the video, I was like, wow, I want to check this out a couple times.
Cool. Awesome.
What's funny is if
that became video
with when you watch things on YouTube, something comes up after that usually.
Yeah.
And like
Synchronistic oftentimes.
it's funny how I was like, oh cool, maybe there'll be just a whole stream of Ides of Gemini videos, but that's actually wasn't. I don't know. I don't want to mention the names of the bands that came up, but it was
okay.
it was bands I wasn't
so
really
curious.
too excited about. A lot of beards, a lot of like overweight dudes with like really bad cardio, and kind of like stony riffs, you know.
Oh my god. Cardio, amazing.
Really bad cardio, and but I don't know. It's funny. I think it's like I don't really ever consider you guys to be in that genre of bands, really, like the doom kind of thing. And do you get lumped into that a lot?
Oh yeah.
We don't. Yeah, we get lumped in with that stuff all the time, and we do not get it. I mean, I guess I understand in the sense that you could maybe point to certain songs we have and say, well, there's a doomy element to that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I don't know how anyone could listen to this new record or any of our records really and say that's a doom band. I mean, There's a couple of songs that are doomy, but I don't know. And this one seems the least doomy to me.
No, I mean, there's just a lot of atmosphere, and to me it doesn't seem like doom at all. That's why I get blown away whenever I hear people like kind of classify you as that, or when I watch YouTube and like a bunch of fat dudes show up after your video, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of a bummer.
The joke we always make is that I think we often get like, we'll get lumped in on some metal bill. Like we played a festival recently. It was great. We had a great time. But like the bill is like stuff like we played with Braharia and Repulsion and things like that, which is awesome. And there were doom bands on the bills and like Nausea and these, it was a very diverse bill, which we like.
Yeah.
But, I think on a bill like that, we maybe come across as not particularly heavy. Whereas, if we were to play with some of the bands that we personally feel more affinity with, we would be considered, like gothic rock, death rock type stuff. We would maybe be considered like too heavy for that. So I guess we're kind of in a weird spot.
Yeah, it's like what comes to mind when I listen to Ides of Gemini is like how Atriarch is sort of like a band that kind of defies genres in a way. They have Atriarch and Alaric and like bands like that. They get loosely thrown into the doom category or whatever, but they really do have like their own sort of thing going on. And I feel like you guys fit more into that. Like whatever Atriarch is, I think that's what you guys fall more into.
I agree. We love those two bands.
We love those bands, and we've played with those bands both in with Ides and then the other band that Sarah and I do, Black Mare.
Yeah.
With both of those bands, and we really dig those bands. Yeah, we feel like those bands definitely, not necessarily sonically, but at like atmospherically and I don't want to say spiritually, but like the thought process that's involved in what they're doing, I think maybe we have an affinity with.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, when I was out in San Francisco back in March, we had a day off, and we stopped down into they were recording the album in Oakland with that dude, that real far out guy. What the hell? Something Hammer, like the studio, like Sound Hammer or like
Audio Hammer.
Audio Hammer. That's it. Yeah. That's the place we went. We were hanging out there, and
was Atriarch?
This is Atriarch. Yeah, they were recording a record there.
Yeah.
And the new record's going to be amazing, man. I can't wait to hear it. I mean, and yeah, just like the vibe and maybe some of the influences and the overall atmosphere of the music. I think you guys, Alaric, Atriarch, they all have like this other like sort of third party vibe that's going on that doesn't really it's not really metal. It's not definitely not doom, but it's like you were saying earlier when you guys play with like more like a death rock kind of thing. You guys might come off as being a little like heavier than that, but
right.
I don't know. It's just like a really cool between genre cross-pollination of a lot of different things that I really like, you know what I mean? Kind of like how the Swans are like that too, you know what I mean? Like when Michael Gira is playing acoustic guitar, it's heavy, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of like what the vibe that you guys have too. You know, it's like it's heavy, but it's not really, maybe not sonically heavy. You know, there's just a heavy atmosphere associated with the music.
Yeah, we love the Swans as well, especially Sera.
Yeah, one of my favorites ever.
Have you caught the Swans recently, like in the last couple of years?
I saw them. I saw them. What was the last time I saw them?
We saw them at Fonda.
We saw them at Fonda. What was that, like 6 months ago? Maybe?
Yeah, like 6 months ago. And then like 6 months before that, we saw them at the Roxy.
It was like a year ago.
Yeah, we saw them the last 2 times they came through.
No, there was one in between we didn't see them. For sure. Yeah, there was one in between the Roxy and the Fonda that we didn't see them. I think it was another one at the Roxy. But both were just like, you know, of course, pummeling transcendence, you know, where you just are forced to lose your mind. It's pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, that's a band that they, like the selection of instruments and sounds that they use to create. It's not just like heavy guitars and like, you know, like they use like percussion and like, you know, lap steel and instruments that aren't really something that would be an obvious choice to create something as dense as that. And they put together this like wall of sound, which is, you know, based on like all these like various instruments and pieces and details and everything. And it's like, you know, if any, you know, anyone who's thought twice about seeing them and hasn't seen them should definitely check the Swans out next time they play, you know, if they want to experience something, you know.
I totally agree. I feel like they're one of those bands to me that I feel like, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like they're not trying to be music. They're trying to like bring another realm into our current reality, or like, you know, like maybe like raise a fort of sonic mythology or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So Jay, I got a question for you specifically, and this has been weighing on me for many years now.
All right. Well, let me unburden you, my friend.
Okay. You know, you've been a musical analyst or writer or journalist or critic. You know what I mean? Like that's primarily the bulk of your career has been spent writing about music. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Now, how does it feel? You know, and you've written about me. You know, I've seen you've thrown my name around in print before, and you know, and I have a strong enough, resilient enough constitution where I can take criticism. So, you know, I've gotten criticized quite a bit over the years, so I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Now, how are you coping with that, being a writer, and then now your creative endeavors are sort of out there for other people to write about and possibly criticize and, you know, assess? Like, how has that been for you?
It's been great. To me, it's fair play. I've never labored under the illusion that everybody is going to like the music that we're making. So to me, you know, bad reviews or criticism is part of that's built in to the system. That's built into the, you know, if you're gonna fly that flag, you have to expect that that's what's going to come back sometimes. And I frankly, I think every band should think that way. I really don't have much sympathy for bands who can't take criticism. That's the way the ball bounces, man. I don't, and it should be, and it's not any different for me, and it shouldn't be any different for me. So, but you know, I will say, in terms of my perspective has changed at least a little bit in the sense that, and this started before we started Ides of Gemini. I was kind of leaning in this direction anyways. I've been getting away for the last like 10 years or so, getting away from reviews and the criticism part of journalism. I still do. I write reviews occasionally, but only of things that I like. The days of me like you know, criticizing someone's record or, you know, taking a dump on it or something, those are over. To me, my attitude is I I don't see what the purpose of that is. There'll be someone else out there who can fill that role, and I'm happy to let them have at it. I don't need to do that, and I don't want to do that. Frankly, I don't. I mean, that just doesn't. Reviews don't. They generally don't interest me anymore unless it's a record that I'm really enthusiastic about and feel like people need to know about this. Or especially if it's a review that or if it's a record that I sense is also kind of not going to get good reviews, but I think it's good, then I feel like I need to step in and champion it to any extent that I can. But generally, I don't do many reviews anymore. But again, like I was starting to feel that way before we started the band, but starting the band only solidified that.
Yeah, I actually, I don't think I really never read reviews because I feel like music is just definitely, it's too subjective really to have any kind of, it's not like you're reviewing like a new car or something.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I don't see, I'm kind of losing interest in the I mean, I've almost completely lost interest in the analysis part. To me, it's like, and to me, I think anyone who's going to, there's a lot of analysis going on, with the new record, and I think analyzing the record, that's fine. I mean, go for it. But I think you're kind of missing the point. We're trying to take you somewhere, so you can kind of let yourself be taken in by the atmosphere of it, and you may like it or not like it. That, I mean, again, I expect that. But to like get in there and try to like pick it apart or something, I don't see what the point is. But I expect, again, I know that's what people do. So, but I just can't. I can no longer relate to that mindset. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's just, and also, not even what I really like is listening to a record where I might not like everything on the record, but there's some stuff that I really like. You know what I mean? Like when I listen to like Houses of the Holy by Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean? It's like there's like great songs like Black Dog and like Stairway to Heaven and all that sort of stuff. But then there's like a couple of tracks on there which I think I just can't even listen to. But the diversity of the record is like what interests me. The fact that they can have material on there that is so distasteful to me, but also I can enjoy something else. Like there's like this kind of like conflict, and that's I like listening to records like that where there's like something that you really like or something that you can't really get into, but it's all in the same body of work. But,
I remember having that experience with a lot of Van Halen records where some stuff is just like I'm like, whoa, that is amazing, and then other stuff I'm like, give me a break, man. Like, what are you guys doing? But it's all on the same record, It's kind of amazing that that can happen,
What's your favorite Van Halen record?
First one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my second favorite. My first favorite is what do you call it? I got
Fair Warning.
No, Fair Warning. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair Warning's a close second. Yeah.
It's like one of these deals where like, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna ask about what your favorite Van Halen record is, and I just the name just completely escaped me. That one really doesn't have any hits on it. There's like
I know. I mean, I don't know. I love that record. Yeah, that one's a close second. But yeah, I'm definitely like I'm a Van Halen 1 type of person. I listened to Diver Down the other day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one that I kind of never really paid that much attention to because it's all covers.
Yeah.
Or it's like mostly covers, and then the stuff that are original is like really goofy. And I revisited it the other day, and I still feel the same way about it.
Yeah. That was kind of like a throwaway record to me.
Totally. Yeah.
Sarah, do you have any input on this, Van Halen?
Oh God, no, I don't like Van Halen at all.
when Van Halen comes onto the van, Sarah either changes it herself or asks politely to have it changed.
I have an aversion to fun rock music.
Oh, okay.
I tend, if I want fun music, I tend to listen to like pop music or R&B.
Okay.
I like my rock to be very, heavy, deep, moody, or savage.
Savage,
serious
nice.
rock, like
I like
serious
that.
Rock only.
Yeah, serious business. You know what wasn't too shabby? Remember, like a few years ago, I was in town for that. There was this like Scion thing, and we were.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the new Van Halen record.
Yeah, we were listening to that. You, Thompson, and Paul Delaney was playing bass in Timms, and that record actually is pretty good.
You know, I don't know that I ever listened to it again after we listened to it in that hotel room. I should go back and check it out. I don't know it that well. I remember kind of not digging it that much, and I think the reason why was I remember that David Lee Roth was making a lot of, like, lyrically, he was making a lot of, like, very modern, like, social media references and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't like that stuff, and I think in the long run it's not going to date well. But I don't think I've heard it. But I remember that was my impression. I was like, oh, why is he talking about this stuff? But anyway, you know, it's David. Why you know, I actually just read Crazy from the Heat recently, like a month ago. His autobiography. I don't know if you've read it, but it is phenomenal. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I found it for $1 actually, and I picked it up. And, I'm definitely going to read that.
That is the correct price. Yep.
Yeah, you know, in the last couple of years, I never was one to read, you know, rock biographies, but when the Tom G. Warrior one came out a few years ago, that one really grabbed me, and I started reading a bunch of you know, biographies about different people and bands and whatnot. And there's the Rudy Sarzo one, Off the Rails. Have you read that one?
No.
That's a great one, man. It's not Rudy Sarzo is like one of my favorite bass player type personalities in, you know, that sort of heavy metal world from the 80s. I mean, he was in Ozzy's band only in the live. He never recorded any of the records.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it was like Bob Daisley playing all that stuff,
Bob
right?
Daisley or something like that. Daisley, some British guy.
Bob Daisley. Yeah, Bob Daisley wrote the lyrics too, I believe, for those first, at least the first two Ozzy records. Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
Yep. And then Sharon had it was Bob Daisley and like Lee Kerslake was on drums on one of them, and then Tommy Aldridge, I think, on the other one. And those are the ones that Sharon Osbourne, like, when they sued for back royalties or whatever, she had Robert Trujillo and Mike Borden come in and re-record their parts.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tommy Aldridge I thought he was on the first two records on drums.
I don't know if he was on one. I thought Lee Kerslake played on one of them, but I can't remember. Tommy Aldridge, though, also famously, when Randy Rhoads died in that plane crash, you know, obviously there was tons of police and everything showing up. Tommy Aldridge is the one who had to go hide the freezer bag Ziploc full of Coke that they had on the tour bus. He had to go, like, hide it in the woods.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. He was also in Black Oak, Arkansas, too, right?
There you go.
Yeah. And that's sort of like where David Lee Roth got his stage shtick from. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, that, it's like, it was a combination, it seems to me it was like a combination of that and, like, vaudeville, you know?
Yeah. Also, you know what I really liked about David Lee Roth is his, like, jumping sidekicks that he would throw during the live performances. I always was really impressed by that ability to launch himself through the air like that. You know?
Yeah, I would end up in the hospital if I tried anything like that.
Flexible guy.
I was impressed by that as well.
Yeah.
That's the only thing Sarah's impressed by in Van Halen.
His acrobatics. Okay, so back to the videos. You know, Sarah, is there some sort of occult practice that you follow, or are you into any of that stuff, like tarot, or, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually one of the main ways I make my living for the past 5 years now is I'm a tarot card reader.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, that is a fact of life.
Huh.
Yeah, my whole world very much revolves around tarot card reading and, you know, ritual and working to expand consciousness. My whole friend circle and world is connected to me in that way. Yeah, it's a huge part of my life.
Now, is it? Are you into like Wicca or, you know?
I'm not. I don't don't subscribe to any one particular, religion or creed or anything like that. I absolutely just like to remain open to everything at all times. There's never been one thing that I've found was not limiting. And so there's definitely things I pull from, but most of the modern things, like Wicca, for instance, I mean, it's really cool. I respect Wicca. I think it's really good. I'm glad it's around, But Wicca, everything they do has been happening for thousands of years, And I think that ritual and shaping your consciousness and your reality and connecting to other realms is something that spans across witchcraft, all tribal ancient religions, and Eastern religion. And those are all things that I find fascinating. Interconnectivity of regions, cultures, realms, levels of consciousness. That's kind of the world that I live in.
That's interesting, man, because like the idea of a ritual too is something that even people that don't necessarily consider themselves to be particularly spiritual or on some kind of path, like people do rituals all the time. They just don't realize that they're actually doing rituals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, brushing your teeth every day is a ritual.
Yeah, and I started really paying attention to that too. Like when just I sometimes I work at this shop in New York City here called Enchantments. It's it's like they're into all kinds of stuff there. Like the owner's like into the Orishas and all this kind of that whole angle. You know what I mean? And there's like a lot of pagan type people work there, and
right.
I just kind of hang out and do stuff here and there. I'm
That's
like
cool. Yeah.
Like this dude, if they need to have someone pick something up, they ask me to pick up like a box or something, and someone tries to rob the store, I chase them out, that kind of thing.
That is awesome.
Choke some people out.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I learned how to use a cash register, which I've never had to do that before in my life. So, I work there every now and then. You'll see me there occasionally. But yeah, my working there is actually kind of like, educated me on a lot of this stuff. And
I bet.
And even like thinking about rituals and how, there's even like tuning your guitar, there's like this whole thing which changes your sort of perception.
Right.
It's like, when you go out on stage or something, you put on, your clothes that you wear, you tune the guitar, you do your warm up, and it's like, there's like that moment and that like sense of the way that you interact with your environment at that particular moment, and then there's the person that you were prior to that. And I think that's kind of like what rituals really stand for, is like transforming the way that you perceive your environment, like making yourself receptive to certain things, for whatever. It's like even when I train like martial arts or whatever, it's like, okay, we're going to warm up, we're going to get a sweat going, you're going to jump rope, and then it's okay, now I'm a different guy now than when I walked in off the street. Now I'm ready to start doing all this technical work and everything. And that's a ritual too. And it's just, it's really cool. Like, a lot of, magic and like ritual magic and ceremonial magic, it's not really, prior to my experiences there, something I was ever really into. I mean, I was aware of it, but I think people have a misconception as to what's actually going on there. It's like, it's not like you're pulling a rabbit out of a hat. It's
right.
It's more like you're sort of putting intention into the world and trying to like guide your future in a way, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Is that how you see it?
I think it's more. Well, to me, it's more like. More like being one with your future by being one with your infinite self. That's always my goal through any sort of magic or ritual, is to sort of, I don't, it's hard not to go into like a rambling spinoff, but I think that, time is an illusion. So I think that by being in touch with your current present self, you are in effect in touch with your future self. And so then that brings it back to ritual. You think about like whatever ritual you're partaking in daily, whether it's musical performance or it's some sort of drinking in a bar every night, or washing your car every day. It's really important to you. Like you think about like, what is this ritual that I'm doing daily making my future self? What reality am I creating? And that's really what magic is all about to me, is basically finding the true power and connection and unity to all aspects of self in the moment.
Now, with respect to tarot, it's like, does anyone really know where that whole thing came from? Because I've read a lot of different accounts as to where the tarot deck originated. Is that, do you have any insights into that?
Yeah. The answer is no. Yeah, that's correct. There's a lot of different accounts, but nobody really knows, which is fun.
Just adds to the mystery.
Totally.
I mean, a lot of people, I think that the Romany people in Europe, I think, sort of claim that they were the ones who originated it somehow. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's
and then there's like theories that they actually came from Egypt and that they got it from Egypt. But then there's people who disprove that theory, and people want to say it was started in Italy, and there's all kinds of different theories.
I'm going to say it came from Egypt because I feel like
right?
Egypt is like one of the most trippy places. Like their whole culture is like pretty insane. If you really, just want to lose yourself in research, like read up on Egypt.
I read about Egypt all the time. I love Egypt.
Are you familiar with John Wesley Harding?
No.
He's this guy who he's an Egyptologist who
okay.
He's saying that the Sphinx is actually even older than we thought. That
my friend was just telling me about that, actually.
Yeah, that's. Of course, the scientific community is trying to discredit him because he.
Yeah, I mean, of course they are. But the scientific community is always trying to discredit everybody, and everything's always changing in the scientific community too, though. Facts are changing too with science, so I don't.
I like to attribute think about the scientific community, kind of how I think of the Roman Catholic Church and how, people disagree with them. They're branded as heretics and.
Yes, exactly. They're trying to, I understand, like scientists, they really want to believe that we're in control and that we know everything. And that's a very comforting thing, but it's just it doesn't align with any sort of experience that we've watched humanity go through.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of, when you think about the Middle East in general and how that is the cradle of civilization, you know what I mean? The Sumerians, the Assyrians, all these like different cultures. That's like where written language came from. You know what I mean? That's like mathematics, like everything came out of the Middle East. And but then like you have to wonder where all this fundamentalism came from. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like it's like that's an interesting thing to study. That's all I'm saying about the Middle East.
I mean, I think it all just came from the desire for power to contain it.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think all this like sort of monotheistic religions are really just kind of like a method to control everybody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely in agreement with that.
Have you read anything by Graham Hancock?
I have. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yes. I haven't read a whole book, but I've read parts of his books a lot. Actually, I was just reading about the Sphinx online. And I was reading all this astrology stuff he had about the Sphinx. I don't remember why. I was down some rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Reading about the Sphinx aligning with the ecliptic. I really can't remember. But I find his theories to be very interesting. I know they're highly debated, but I like a lot of what he says. And I like to read I tend to just look at everything almost as like a theory these days.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like things change so much, even in the relatively short time I've been alive. That nobody really knows anything. We're just sort of putting things together as far as how we got here.
Grasping at straws in the darkness.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, Hancock's his like lectures. I mean, his books sometimes are a little dense, like they're a little bit hard to get through. But there's tons of lectures and interviews and different. He shows up in all these different places, and he's got a great voice too. I mean, he's like.
Oh, I have not listened. I haven't listened to anything. I've only read.
Yeah, just look him up on YouTube, and you'll see you'll end up, get a nice chunk of time on him, but then you'll end up on some video about reptilian overlords or something eventually.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. So the record's out, right? It came out like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, it came out on exactly a week ago, Friday. Yeah.
Right. Okay, a week ago. Yeah. And are you guys are playing a show tonight, right?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
night's
night.
show. Yeah, record release show.
Cool. Now who's playing the bill with you guys?
There's a band called Zigzags, who are friends of ours, who have been they've been touring around. They just got back from Europe a little while ago. They did something insane, like 31 shows in 31 days or something cuckoo like that. And then the opening band's a band called Tarkus, which they are a doom band for sure. And they have two female singers, one who plays keyboards, and then the other is a Native American woman who does she play any instruments? Flute. She plays flute, right? And I think the themes of some of their songs have to do with Native American spirituality and
like most of them.
Yeah, but then they'll also like rip out a Candlemass cover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Where is this at? Like, what venue you guys playing at in LA?
This is at a place called Complex here in Los Angeles, Glendale, actually.
I've been there.
So yeah, it's
that's where we played last time. Well, not last time.
Right, exactly.
We played there with Wolfhammer, and
yes,
all you guys were there. It was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I quite like that room actually.
Yeah, it's a good room.
Yeah, it is. It's cool, and they put on a lot of great shows there.
They're a really good venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice size. You know what I mean? It looks packed when there's like 20 people there, which is cool. For us, and
Right.
I like that. It's a nice intimate feel to it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. And they do, and Dan, who is the guy who puts on a lot of the heavy shows there, he does the sound, does a really great job with that. So yeah, we love it there.
Are there any touring plans for you guys coming up?
We are working that out now. We don't have anything nailed down yet, but we want to do as much as we can to support this record. So hopefully all that stuff will be forthcoming.
Right on. Now, if people want to check you out online, like your website, Facebook, you guys have all that stuff in place?
We have a Facebook and an Instagram, and I think we have
Those are the best places.
Those are the best ones. Yeah. I think that we do have a website, but it's not the website needs to be updated. I think
it does.
The person sitting next to me, needs to get on the case.
Is that something you also do as well? Sarah is a web designer.
Again, reluctantly.
Damn.
Yeah, I've been a website designer and worked in that world for a while, and I don't particularly enjoy it anymore. But I am good at it when I focus on it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's supposed to be my job. I've been slacking big time.
I can never figure any of that stuff out, man. You know what I mean?
Good. Don't. Oh my God. My friend told me the most brilliant thing. Don't learn anything you don't want to do for a living. And I was like, you are right. Because every time somebody knows that you do it, they're going to be like, oh, can you do this? I'll pay you. And then you end up doing it to make money and you get stuck.
Yeah, you're trapped into this.
You get trapped.
Yeah, that's a good policy, I think, is to do stuff like that.
I know. I'm really careful about what I learn now.
Huh. I'll have to follow suit on that because I ended up learning a lot of things I wish I could unlearn. You know what I mean?
No.
And
We have to be careful what we learn.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you that.
and yeah, because I keep getting offered jobs that I don't want to do. So it's
Yeah, tell me about it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. I like the record, man.
thank you.
It's
Thanks,
rad.
Mike. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, totally. And I'll be out there actually in either June or July. So maybe we'll hang out.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, are you touring out here, or just coming to hang out, or what do you do?
No, we're going out on the road in from the middle of June into the middle of July, basically.
Nice.
Great.
And we're playing at the Roxy at that venue we
Killer.
talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Yeah, that's another great venue. That's another one of our
Really
favorites. Yeah.
I like it, man. I like that place. It's initially I wasn't sure if I was gonna like playing there because the staff's kind of weird, I think. But
Yeah.
but it sounds great. The stage is cool. It's
Yeah.
right. It's right next to the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And we like that they have a curtain. So like no one's looking at you while you're like setting up your pedals and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like you just you start playing and the curtain opens. It's like to me that's a proper like rock show.
Yeah, I agree, man. And it's like in that part of LA, it's like it's got some history.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
And I don't think you were with me though when I actually went to the Rainbow Bar and Grill for the first time ever last year. And,
was it after the show you guys did with 1349?
Yeah. We all went over there.
Yeah, we had this. Yeah, because I remember saying hi to you, but then we split during 1349 at some point because I don't know what we had to do, but we couldn't stay for 1349. We saw some of it, but so we didn't. Yeah, we didn't end up going.
It was fun, man. I know it's like a goofy tourist thing to do, but I wanted to do that. There was two things I wanted to do on that tour, and one was go there, and the second thing was eat at In-N-Out Burger.
Oh yeah. Both of those things are good. Those are good things. I mean, those are like touristy things that actually locals do. Like I really like the Rainbow, and of all the fast food burger joints, I mean, In-N-Out's the only one I would go to.
Yeah, solid.
So, yeah.
I'm into it. It's a great place. I saw Ron Jeremy at the Rainbow.
That's a regular sighting, and it actually, and as I'm sure your listeners know, I mean, the first few times I went there, I mean, I would see Lemmy in there all the time. Yeah,
that's unfortunately I made it there a little too late to see Lemmy. Man, that would have been cool. But yeah, I didn't know that Ron Jeremy was like a fixture there, but it was like 3:00 in the morning or something, or 2:30 or whatever, and like someone's like, "It's Ron Jeremy," and I look over and it's like, and we were with those Norwegian guys, you know what I mean? So they were the ones I think who spotted him, and and it was like he just looked like he had been up for days, and he was wearing these like sweatpants and like it was a mess, man.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
But it was a fun night, man. That was actually the last night of the tour, and then we just drove back all the way straight with no shows.
Oh God, man,
That's terrible.
Yeah,
it was rough, man. That tour actually, it was logistically that tour sucked because it was the first show was in Miami, and we really couldn't play any shows down there because the show was going up the East Coast. So it's like any of the cities that we would have played, we were playing on the tour. And then like driving back, it was just like we kind of played everywhere. It was the end of the tour, and it was just like, let's just keep rolling because the only shows we were able to get were these kind of like random cities and whatever. So, it's just like we just banged out the drive. And
some of these booking guys, I don't know what they're thinking with these routings sometimes. Like they're just not. It's like people have to actually do that in a van. Like it's not just numbers on a list of dates. Like people have to physically get from point A to point B. Like I don't know. It seems like a lot of booking guys like can't grasp that somehow.
Yeah, because like for 1349, after that they were going down in South America. So for them it was all good.
Right.
They were in LA. Then they like went into South America, and the dude that was driving their van, like they had one of those like rocket sled. Rental vans, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know, it's it's a Sprinter, but it's got bunks and a TV and a couch and all that stuff inside it. Like they gutted the inside of the Sprinter, and you can live in there basically, and then there's a trailer for all the gear. And
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy, the driver, had to drive their whole transport system back to Florida. So he was on the same boat as we were, just.
Oh yeah,
it,
right. Because they probably rented it there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that rocket sled outfit is located somewhere in like Central Florida. So that guy had to like do the same thing, man. And then everyone else in their crew like flew out of there. So the American guys all flew home after that.
Rocket Sled. Remember that band, Rocket Sled?
Yeah, man, totally. It's like one of the guys from Rocket Sled was in Drowning Man.
Yep. And then I think one of them, like Mark Thompson, went to high school with one of those guys. I think.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Yeah, they were pretty good, man. I think, if I remember correctly, I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah. They had like one album, and I enjoyed it. Yeah.
From Burlington, Vermont, right?
Yep.
That's a nice little. I like going to Burlington. I haven't been there in years, but you know that Club 242 Maine, or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah. I haven't been there in years either, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Do you know Bernie Sanders had something to do with opening that place?
No way.
His wife, actually.
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
Because, you know, he's from Brooklyn, right? He's born and raised Brooklyn guy. But I believe that for a time he was living, or he still lives, in Burlington.
Yeah, I like Bernie, man. I like Bernie.
Totally. Yeah, I was a backer.
It's too bad what happened to Bernie.
Yeah, I was a backer of his, man. And it's like, it kind of sucks. Like, I was kind of hoping that it was going to run for, like, you know, with a different party or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to get tired. It's a fucking travesty, dude, this whole thing.
Yeah. Yep. That's, it really is.
Yeah, every day I read about some shit that just baffles me, you know?
It's funny, Mustard Gas and Roses just did a tour like a couple weeks ago, or I got back like a week ago. Yeah, I got back a week ago, so we were gone for like a little while. Sorry, there's like a cat meowing here.
That's cool. I like cats.
I wasn't like, you know, I'm not the guy who's like on their phone the whole time. Like, I don't do that really. I'm on tour. I just kind of like like the fact that I don't have to do that. So I didn't watch any news, and I've continued that for the week I've been home. And I might be like slightly out of the loop. I've never felt better.
Yeah, man.
it's like that stuff you just get hammered with all that stuff every day. And you know, I can't, you know, obviously you can't do that forever because it doesn't really pay to be oblivious, but taking breaks is, I highly recommend it.
I mean, I was actually talking to somebody, you know, recently about some young person, you know, I'm like, yeah, I'm from a time before the internet. You know, I was telling this person about, like, you know, the world before there was like cell phones.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Yeah. You know, and the guy's like, no way, man. I'm like, yeah. You know, when I was your age, there was no internet, you know?
Yeah.
And I was telling him about how, like, I could just disappear, man. I love that about that time, like in their you know, the mid 90s or whatever. It's like, I used to live down on Hooker Street in Austin, and
I lived there too, yeah.
All these dudes, like the guys from Otis, my old band, you know, that you guys you know, you and Thompson always threatened me about telling people about this band, but I don't give a fuck, man. I'm cool with it, you know. It's like, it's all part of it.
Otis was a great great band, man. I love that. Yeah. I still have those CDs somewhere. I should bust them out. I enjoy them. I remember them, and I feel like I would enjoy them still.
Yeah, man. It's part of, like, you know, the rich tapestry of my life, you know. But
I think that's the right way to look at it.
Yeah, you know, it's not something I'm really that into. I mean, there's a lot of flaws, obviously, but you know, I did it. You know, we did a lot of stuff in the 2 years we were together, which I thought was cool. But during that period of time, it's like I often think back to this time because I'm like, yeah, man, I used to like just leave the house, and no one knew where I was. It's like I would go for these like long walks. I would walk all the way down Harvard Ave into like Cambridge, and then all the way to Arlington, because there was like a comic book shop like right on the border of Arlington and Cambridge that I used to go into every now and then when I'd go on these epic walks. And I would come back and it'd be dark. I would leave in the light, and it would come home and it would be dark. And no one knew where the fuck I was. And it was like no one could reach me. maybe if someone called, there'd be a message.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call Dean
Right,
Bartolonis.
on your answering machine. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then an answering machine, which like usually the tape was like filled, you know what I mean? So that was useless, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like one of the best things ever is to be completely alone, like with no distractions like that, just with your own thoughts, you know what I mean? And a lot of kids these days can't really relate to that idea.
Yeah, I love that too, man. Like I remember, like I read a lot of, I probably read. I can't say I've read everything. I think I read most of James Ellroy's books. At this point.
Oh yeah.
But he talks about like his process of a lot of like, especially when he's writing like true crime stuff, like to get his head in, like when he wrote about the Black Dahlia murder and things like that, or his own mother's murder and things. His process was he would go into a room, like he'd like unplug the phone. He'd go into a room, he'd turn the lights out, and he'd just lay in the bed, and it was not to sleep. It was to, like, just be isolated and, like, get into the, like, put himself in that time and that place and try to think about what it might have been like so he could describe it in the best way, having not either been there himself or been really young at the time when that stuff happened. I think the Black Dahlia murder happened either the year he was born or right prior to, or maybe it was very, very small. I forget. But yeah, I love that. I love that whole idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, do you ever think about writing fiction at all? Since you're a writer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've done a couple things like that. I mean, I had a column in Decibel for a while that definitely was mostly fictional.
He wrote some excellent short stories that only I think I've read.
Yeah, that might be true.
Yeah,
I don't know about the excellent part, but I've done that stuff before. I just don't. You know what? I think I just don't have. I think what happens is, and this is maybe a sad tale, but I think what happens is, at least for me, a little bit, is that when you are writing for a living, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that for a long time now, you tend to just think of it as work. Definitely for the last few years, I can't really imagine writing too much if it was not for money.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem appealing because I've done so much of it. We had to do, you have to, when you put out a record, there's a bio, and I'm sure, Rise Above was probably thinking, oh, there's a writer in the band, so free bio. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. Because first of all, writing about your own band is terrible.
It is.
But secondly, it's just like, if I don't have to do it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
Which is, okay. I don't know. I think of writing now like being a plumber or something. Like it's just going to work and fixing the pipes.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So I mean, that may be a bummer for people, but I mean, I mean,
like the thrill is gone.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, there is some enjoyment. There's some enjoyment. I do get some enjoyment, like during the process, like when you come across, when you like, you have a particularly pleasing turn of phrase, you can pat yourself on the back or whatever, get a kick out of it. But like, the sort of like getting ready to write something, I really enjoy. I really enjoy a lot. Most of what I do now is interview stuff, and I really enjoy like this part, like talking to the person. But then like you got to transcribe it, which is like mind numbing. And then by the time you're through that, that's already worn you down so much that the writing part ends up being like work. And I still obviously, like your local plumber, I'm going to do the best work I can do. But it doesn't mean I'm like jumping for joy about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff, like you brought it up yourself about like your column that you had in Decibel was like that. When I would read that, I was like, wow, there's like something here that could possibly be extrapolated out into like a more long form kind of piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was definitely. I think there was a time, like certainly when I started writing that column, when I would think about doing stuff like that. But honestly, I worked like a dog, man, like a dog for years and years and years and years and years. And I think what happened is I just became, I started to view it as what it is, which is work, you know?
Yeah.
And believe me, I love that I can do it. I'm glad that I don't work at the gas station or you know, park cars or driving a delivery van, or working at a deli, all of the jobs which I've had. And I still think I'm pretty good at it, but you know, the excitement factor of doing it is low. But I love the interviews, man. I love talking to people. Like what you were doing, like being on the other end of this is great. Like being in, I mean, I like being on you know, both sides is great, but you know, having conversations with people, I enjoy that.
Yeah, I enjoy doing that, obviously, but yeah, it's fun because then you really get to see like what makes people, what their process is like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a in-depth sort of introspective kind of feel, you know, when you do it, when you're having a conversation with people, you know.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking time out. It's a Friday.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys hopefully, you know, in another month or so. And
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, let us know, man.
and thanks for listening, everybody.
Angel cast up to
I'm curious how you record this, because I do like Skype interviews a lot, but I just like go like old school style, where I just put my recorder next to the speaker, like I'm making a fucking mixtape, like I did when I was 10, where you just push the boom boxes together or whatever. Are you like actually running a direct line into something?
Yeah, I just take out of my it could be either the iPad or it could be out of just a phone, just like that 1/8-inch jack.
Yeah,
and then I just use an adapter and then go into the Pro Tools interface and then put it into a track.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you can works halfway decent. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say it's the best way of doing things, but it's not bad. All right, cool. I think we're in business here. All right. I usually do it. Not usually. I always do an introduction where I describe who you guys are, and so we don't have to do. Hey, I'm here with Jay and Sera of Ides of March. I don't have to do anything stupid like that. So.
Ides of March. That's a good one.
Yeah. Get it wrong.
We get that a lot.
Get it wrong, and be real foolish and stuff. But yeah. So, anyway, Ides of March.
Yeah, which is a band.
Really, there's actually a band called Ides of March.
Yeah, I don't think they still exist, but they did. Like I think in the '80s, I think.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
Yeah, huh. I still have no idea what they sound like, but I actually see their records every once in a while, like at Amoeba and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so